Update. Am I the a-hole for preventing husband from taking in nephews? Original post. My husband, 32 male, and I, 28 female, have been married for 2 years and together for 5. Until now, I would have said that we had a perfect relationship. But right now it seems like that's over, and I'm not sure who the a-hole is, if anyone. I grew up in a really bad abusive and neglectful situation. I've been to therapy and done the work, but there are still some issues that are just going to be permanent, I think. The two relevant here are that I need to have a calm, safe living space that is mine to function, and I do not do well around children. I don't hate children, but I was forced into raising 7 siblings and step-siblings when I was still a kid myself, and I will never be responsible for another kid for as long as I live. I've had my tubes removed to make absolutely sure there will never be an oops. My husband has known this since the beginning and also does not want children. His family situation is also not great, but he's still involved with them, mostly for his mom and nephew's sake. About a month ago, sister-in-law was murdered by her ex, who unalived himself as well. The boys were visiting mother-in-law, so thankfully they weren't in the house when it happened. Otherwise, I think they would be gone too. It's horrific. Mother-in-law, the boys, and my husband are devastated. Sister-in-law was not my favorite person in the world. She had a lot of the same traits my abusers had. But nobody deserves that, and I'm trying to be supportive of their grief. The problem is that there's nowhere for the boys to go. They were staying with mother-in-law, but her health is so poor that DHR decided she's not stable enough to have custody. Their father's family doesn't have anything to do with them, which is a long story by itself. My husband has a younger brother, but he has substance use issues and isn't in a good place to take on 2 kids. That leaves my husband and me as the only real family placement option. My husband isn't thrilled about bringing kids into this situation, but he feels like he has to keep them out of foster care, which I understand. Here's the problem. I absolutely do not want these kids living under the same roof as me. It's a PTSD trigger, but also they are understandably, for their situation, not the best behaved kids to start with. Add some hella trauma onto that, and those kids are going to need a lot of help. My husband swears that he will do everything for them, but I think he's being unrealistic. We got into a really nasty argument about it, and he said that this is a make or break moment for the marriage, because he's not backing down and he'll take the kids and divorce me if he has to. Our house was mine before we got married. I inherited it from my grandmother. I insisted on a prenup to protect it when we got married. My husband has a health issue that makes full-time work difficult, and he struggled at the best of times before we got married. If we split up, his chances of finding an affordable place to live nearby in the current market are not good. He's not quite disabled enough to receive disability. Frankly, if I and the house weren't part of the bargain, I'm not sure that DHR would place the kids with him. Where I might be the a-hole is that after he threw the D word at me, I told him that in that case he would need to move out of my house because he would no longer be welcome, go back to working full-time because I wouldn't be bankrolling an ex. And good luck taking care of 2 traumatized kids with his health, much lower income, and without stable housing. I think it hadn't occurred to him just how much he would lose access to, because we've always just shared without thinking about it. He's not speaking to me right now, and mother-in-law called and read me the riot act for financial abuse and abandoning family. I feel for the nephews, I really do. But I am not the person those kids need right now, and I feel like I was really clear from the very beginning that I would never be okay taking care of kids or living with them. I think we're cooked either way at this point, but am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. It seems obvious to me that your husband should take the boys and go live with your mother-in-law. The 2 of them will be able to take care of the boys between them. They can supplement each other's incomes, and the kids will be safe. He's the one that brought up the D word. In your position, I would immediately speak with a divorce attorney and find out what your rights and responsibilities will be. Depending on where you live, you may have to pay a few years of alimony. But perhaps not, because he's the one leaving. But it is essential to know your rights. Either way, whether you cave and take the kids in, or he moves out, or the kids go into CPS custody, this marriage is probably done. Husband also needs to look into survivor's benefits for the children. Not the a-hole. The whole thing sucks and is very sad. You knew your limitations and made them clear to others. You can't be expected to move out of your own house. Could your husband move in with mother-in-law? Would her insurance cover some home care or compensate your husband for her care? I'm looking into that actually, because even if we split up, I don't want him to suffer. The problem is that a lot of welfare and social services have been cut, and he's one of the people that falls into the cracks of not being eligible for a lot of stuff that could help, but not physically able to handle a full-time job that would give him decent benefits. I have a social worker friend that I asked to look into what additional benefits they might be able to get, and whether it would hurt mother-in-law's benefits if my husband were living with her. It's terrible that people have to make these kinds of choices. Edit/mini update. There are a lot of responses and I'm trying to get to them all. I'm taking a PTO day to deal with some of this stuff and get myself back together. As a lot of you have said, there's no way back from this. And I think I'm going to go ahead and accept that now instead of dragging it out. The trust is gone. I made an appointment with a lawyer this morning, and from what I've read, an uncontested divorce could go pretty quickly and smoothly if we don't squabble over money. I don't have any interest in screwing him over, but I also won't be screwed over. I hate it. I wish this wasn't happening, but I've worked way too hard for a stable life to flush it down the toilet. I'm going to freeze my credit and lock down the accounts today in case he or mother-in-law get ideas and have the talk tonight. I'm also about to call the case manager contact at DHR and explain the situation so it's on record and they can start making a plan that doesn't include me as a part of the equation. I'm debating how much help I'm going to continue providing. I will continue to help my husband while he lives here, but I was also doing a lot to help out mother-in-law with things her health makes difficult and to allow her to put her energy toward the kids right now. And I think that's going to stop since it's not appreciated and the relationship is over. As far as the whole looking after a family thing, I don't believe in family. Family has done more harm to me than anything else in this world and provided not a single benefit. So I don't put any value on blood or relations. I do what I can when I can for others, but I know in the same circumstances, none of these people would help me, either because they can't or they just wouldn't care that much. So just spare me the whole, they're your family stuff, please. That word doesn't hit the same way for me that it does for you. I will update once I've talked to my husband and figured out a path forward. Thanks for the input, even if some of you think I'm a monster. Now for the first full update. Now he doesn't want to divorce and wants to figure something out. Of course, the stress of the whole situation is pushing him into a flare, so I'm giving him some grace. But I told him that we won't go back to exactly the way things were before the D word now, no matter what happens. I don't trust him. He needs to sit down with a social worker, look at the facts, and make a call on his own. I have the lawyer's recommendations for an amicable divorce filing we can discuss if he decides on that route. His mom said some unforgivable things in her little tirade, so the things I was doing to help her stop. Whatever happens, I will make sure he has health insurance until he can make other arrangements. I would be willing to discuss all of this in counseling with him while we try to sort it out. But for now, one of us is moving into the spare room or he can go stay with his mom. He's upset but agreed. It's probably going to take some time to get a resolution, but I will try to post again down the road once the situation settles out. Second update. The situation is complicated, but the TLDR of it is that due to a very unfortunate situation beyond either of our control, my husband and I want very different things going forward that can't be reconciled. He brought up divorce. I did a consult with a lawyer to get things rolling. Now he doesn't want to divorce, but the problem isn't going away. And I'm already feeling checked out, so I think that's the inevitable conclusion. We're at least going to separate. The thing is, I still love him. I don't want this to hurt more than it has to for either of us. I'm committed to a fair split that doesn't leave anyone high and dry. I'm hurt and angry, but I understand where he's coming from, and I want to keep it civil. He's hurt and angry, ironically because I took him up on the divorce instead of doing things his way, but I know he loves me. How did you keep things productive and civil with your soon-to-be ex? I've already had to block some of his family for coming at me. Things are going to be rough for him because the house is mine and protected by a prenup, and I'm the breadwinner. He wouldn't be eligible for alimony because we've only been married for 2 years. At most, I would be paying his health insurance premiums for 6 months or so, which I don't mind. This would be easier if I hated him, but I don't, and the thought of him struggling is frigging depressing. Did you remain friends during or afterward? Or is it better to just drop contact except for necessary communication? I know I'm going to come out of this okay, but I want to do everything possible on my part to make it smooth and not contentious. Now for the last update. People have been asking me for an update, and there were some forward developments before Thanksgiving. The bad news is that DHR decided my soon-to-be ex's medical situation rules him out as a primary guardian for the kids. He wouldn't be able to adequately care for them during a flare. Same for his mom. They have the same condition. His is worse than hers, but hers is more advanced. The good news is that the social worker talked the paternal relatives into agreeing to a DNA test. They didn't believe that the kids were really murderous a-holes bio children, and he and sister-in-law were keeping the situation on the down low because he was married, so they never established legal paternity. DNA was a match, so the grandparents on that side are taking the kids. What that means as far as visitation for my husband and mother-in-law is still being hashed out. But the whole thing has been de-escalated a lot, thanks to a really competent case manager. As far as the divorce, I'm going ahead with it and filing this week. He's moved back in with his mom. They're salty about it, but that's to be expected. I still love him and wish him the best, but I'm done. His family's too much drama, and I don't trust him the way that I did before this. Given that we were only married 2 years and the house is mine from before the marriage and protected, it should be a clean break. While I miss him being here, I'm already feeling less stressed with him gone, and I didn't realize that had been creeping up on me for a while. I think I'm done with romantic relationships, at least for a good long while, so I'm going to focus on my career and some fun stuff I haven't had time to do since taking on a caretaker role. Thank you to those who offered support and advice. It sucks that any of this happened to begin with, but I think it's ending about as well as it could have at this point. I will be dropping contact with my ex's family, so I doubt I'll have anything else to update. Don't threaten divorce if you aren't ready for that possibility. Your soon-to-be ex would 100% have used divorce as a weapon again if you had caved into his demand. So the only option going forward was this. Good on you for sticking up for yourself. Hope those kids will turn out all right with their grandparents. I'm sure they're going through a whole lot right about now. And if you really threaten divorce, be ready that the relationship is dead as soon as these words leave your mouth. Such an ultimatum is always a lose-lose situation. Good for you. What condition does your ex have? I was guessing MS. After what his mother said to you, I'd have been flat out done as well. You've shown these people nothing but kindness, and the moment you push back, they showed you who they truly are. His family isn't just drama. They're shitbirds. They're always going to be that way. They have MS and myasthenia gravis. He has the childhood onset variant, so his is a lot more debilitating, but his mom's has progressed more. It's managed as well as it can be, but I still wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. How dare you, as the owner of the house, the only stable income, caretaker of my disabled ass, and child-free by necessity, not want to take in children whom you most definitively are going to have to 100% care for, no matter what I say I do. My way or divorce way. Bro, just before finding out. I love this for him and his mom so much. They're too stupid to learn from their choices to be a-holes, but they get to live with the outcome. Sister-in-law too. I hate to speak ill of the dead, but considering what OP said in her comments, sister-in-law really screwed her children over. To be fair, I think that sister-in-law was seriously mentally ill. Her behavior was similar to untreated bipolar disorder, and postpartum stuff really didn't help that any. The kids should have been put up for adoption. Between her and the father, they never had a chance. At least with paternity established and the secrets out, maybe they can have a relationship with their half-siblings and other relatives now and get appropriate attention and help. Last story. Would I be the a-hole if I don't bail my dad or stepmom out of jail tomorrow? I, 19, spent Thanksgiving at my mom and stepdad's place. At around 7 p.m., I got a call from my stepmom asking me to come over because the police were at their place and it was an emergency. I went because I was worried about my stepsister, 14, and my half-brother, 8. My dad and stepmom were both under arrest when I arrived. The police asked my dad and stepmom if I had permission to take the kids. My dad said I could only take them if I didn't take them to my mom's. I said that's where I was going and I didn't have anywhere else to go. The police said if I didn't take them, they would go to CPS. My dad asked them to wait for his brother to show up. The cops said they weren't going to wait any longer because they already waited for me. My dad and stepmom gave permission. My dad also asked me to bail him out and gave specific instructions as to which bail bondsman to use. I said I would. They haven't had their bond set yet and probably won't until tomorrow, Monday. So they've been in jail all weekend. I've never bailed them out before. I am mad at them for interrupting my Thanksgiving and traumatizing my siblings. I am considering leaving them in jail until they figure out something else. I considered asking my mom and stepdad for advice, but if they think I'm in the wrong, they'll just bail them out themselves. I really am upset with them, but is leaving them in jail too much of a punishment? Would I be an a-hole if I do? Also, my stepsister and half-brother are stuck with me at my mom and stepdad's house until my dad and/or stepmom can get them. So that's also a factor. What a horrible situation for you and your siblings. I'm so sorry you are going through this. Not the a-hole either way. Your dad and stepmom are the a-holes for creating this situation. You are not obligated to arrange bail for them. However, if you refuse to help, your dad and stepmom might cut you off from any contact with your siblings in retaliation when they do get out. You will need to be around to help them out if and when this gets worse. Whatever you choose, though, you should talk with your mom to let her know what's going on. You will need her support. I talked to her about what happened, but I left out the part where they want me to bail them out. She thinks I shouldn't go to their house anymore, because if something happens and I get mixed up, it could show up on a background check if I apply for a job. She's not wrong about that. If there is domestic violence taking place in that house, you need to stay away from it, and you should get your dad's family involved to get your siblings out of it too. I would presume that CPS will get involved either way shortly. My dad's only nearby family is my uncle, and he's worse. Now for the update. My stepmom was released from jail. No bond. My dad's bond is $1,000. I don't know if that's the 10% or the total amount. So my stepmom will be able to pick the kids up from school. When I get out of class, I'll take their stuff back over to them. Since the kids are fine, I consider dad's bail not my responsibility. His wife can take care of it or not at her own discretion.